Hey guys, Trevor here with Love It Properties, and we are continuing our short series on updates to homes. This is the last one or last type of update that we have had to cover. We've went through things like system updates, structural upgrades, cosmetic updates, and today we're hitting the last category and just kind of the way I've broken them out to help you understand these different types of things you can do. And this one is going to be on exterior updates to the home. Now we're talking about things like garden beds. We're talking about landscaping in general. We're talking about fences, pools. These are things you do outside of the home that are not necessarily attached to the home, but obviously add some kind of appeal to the home. And so let's jump in. Let's talk about some of these updates. I'll give you some great tips and pointers on where to spend your money in order to make the most value and desirability out of these updates. When it comes to external updates, we're talking about things that don't actually attach to the property. They're separate from the house. And these are things that can add a lot of desirability to their home, curb appeal, as it's often said, but they don't necessarily add a lot of value to a home. Value, again, being the thing that returns automatic monetary return on value, right? But that doesn't make them not important. Curb appeal is extremely important when you're talking about listing a home, because if someone pulls up to a house, maybe they've seen pictures online of the inside and they think, wow, this looks beautiful, I can't wait to see it. And then they actually get their eyes on the front of the house and there's no curb appeal. It just looks nasty outside. They're not even gonna walk in the door. They're thinking in their head, that's too much money I have to invest in order to make the outside of this home look good. So it's not worth it. So curb appeal is important, and actually it's one of the cheaper things you can do to add desirability to your house. It's one of the most common things people ask whenever they're about to list a home is, what can I do to make it look good? One of the first things we say is go buy some mulch, go buy some flowers, do some landscaping in order to just enhance the curb appeal of your home. It's super important to make your home ultra desirable in this market. So those things are great additions in cosmetic updates externally to your home that bring a lot of desire. The major exception to this type of rule about external updates are the two big ones, fences and pools, right? Fences do add inherent value to a home. Now, in this market where the cost of materials is all over the map, I would say probably you're going to be spending more to install a fence than you will be returning if you were to turn around and sell it the next day. You may spend $10,000 to $15,000 in order to build a fence outside of your house, but you may only get back $3,000 to $5,000 of value as to what a potential home buyer is willing to pay for that feature. And it depends. A lot of homes, I would say that the sweet spot is if you have a smaller yard that is tight on other lots around you, and you build a fence. It's a lot lower investment cost because you're not building a huge fence, but it adds a ton of value because now you're providing separation in your own space from your close neighbors, maybe some privacy, and that's a huge desirability factor for the market. They're going to be willing to pay more for that feature. But if you live on a huge lot, a half acre to 2 acre lot, and you fence in the entire yard in the back, that may be a really expensive investment, but you're probably not going to get that much return if you turned around and sold it as to what you spend on it. You may spend $10,000 to $20,000 on that fence, but you may only get that like $5,000 back in value. So worth considering. If you're planning on doing a fence, if you're going to build it on a larger lot, you're probably not going to get all your return. Smaller lot, actually more return typically. The other major exception to the rule of external updates is an in-ground pool specifically. In-ground pools do typically add a significant amount of value to a home. Now, that's not typically equal to the amount of value that it costs to install them. I don't know the exact installation cost of an in-ground pool, but I know appraisers are giving between $10,000 to $15,000, depending on the quality of that pool, to the value of a home when they're measuring it against other comparable properties. So it does add a significant amount of value, but probably not the full return of of what it costs to install an in-ground pool. Now, any other type of pool, an above ground, some other situation like that, is not going to add any value to a home. It may add some desirability depending on the market, but odds are it's not going to add any value, actual monetary value to a home. So be careful when you're thinking about making this large investment of putting a pool in. Make sure you're aware you're probably not going to get all your value back, and especially if it's not an in-ground pool, you might not be getting any value back for it at all. But generally in the South and North Carolina, people like pools. So it's a safe bet that you're going to get something, if at least just some desirability on your listing if you do have a pool installed. Worth just tossing out there, North Carolinian culture really does value outside of the home. It's just become more and more appealing over the past few years. And I think this is honestly a historical thing that in North Carolina, people just value being outside of their homes. They value their yards. They value nice grass, flowers, well-landscaped areas. They just like to live outdoors. So things like fire pits, things like patios, different things you can do that are not connected to the home to just add a beautiful landscape to your home are always going to create a high desirability factor for potential buyers. So if you can get away with DIYing some of this stuff, you will add significant desirability to your home and probably can convince a lot more buyers to come and compete for your home as a result of those things. So definitely worth investing in, definitely worth looking into and doing on the cheap if you can DIY it. That's a great way to upgrade your home. Well, guys, this concludes our upgrade series. Hopefully that covered a lot of the things that you might be thinking about doing to your home. Gave you some pointers and tips on how to kind of ascertain what's going to be the most valuable upgrade for your home if you're planning on selling it soon. Now you know what's going to help you make the most money, at least from my perspective, what I'm seeing in the market, and hopefully that's helpful. If you didn't get to see the other videos in the series, go back and check them out. Like I said, we covered things like system updates, structural updates, cosmetic updates, and then of course in this one, talking about the external things. So go back, check those out. Let me know if you have any questions. I would love to help. If you've just got a question of, hey, does this seem like a good cost to invest in for this if I'm thinking about selling next year, something like that, I would love to walk through that with you and just kind of see if we can put our heads together and come up with a great strategy for you. I want to make sure you're spending your money wisely and you know what's going to give you the best return. So hit me up. I have a lot of experience in a lot of these areas and would love to help. Thanks, guys. Again, this is Trevor with Love It Properties, and I can't wait to bring you some more content soon.